Hello and welcome to Clydebridge Station, and this is video number 25 in the series, the quarter century. Following on from my previous video, which was called Sectorisation Explained, this video is called Meet the Sectors, where I'll go into each business sector on British Rail in detail. Before I do go on and explain about the 5 business sectors in detail, just a couple of pointers that have been made about video 24, and these were made by Sean Leonard from Sheffield, who watched the video, and I'm grateful for his assistance. The London Tilbury and Southend lines out of Fenchurch Street were actually originally part of the London Midland region and not the Eastern region, but these transferred to the Eastern region in 1949. And when I also explained about Network South East Territory going as far as Ipswich, Network South East trains went as far as Ipswich from London, but the operating boundary for Network South East for things like the network card was actually Manningtree and not Ipswich. Also, I forgot to mention that the main line from Marylebone was transferred over to the London Midland region in 1974, and also the lines southwest of Birmingham were moved from the LM to the Western region at the same time. So I'm very grateful to Sean for that. What we'll do now is we'll bring each locomotive into platform number 6. Or I might even just bring them into the depot one at a time. I think that's what we'll do. We'll bring them into the depot here and bring each engine down to the fuelling point. And then I'll go and talk about each sector in detail. And I just want to apologise that it is rather windy at the time of filming this update, this video. So please do apologise for the wind noise that you're going to hear in the video. Of all the business sectors on British Rail, rail freight was the most profitable of the 5. Rail freight and parcels had always been seen as distinct areas of operation, so it was only natural that these two formed 2 of the new business sectors created on the 5th of January 1982. And rail freight inherited quite a large amount of varied rolling stock. The first actual locomotives that were distinctly and specifically for freight use were the Class 47/3s, which had no train heating in them at all. And then of course there was later the Class 56s, which came along in the late 70s and early 80s. The first locomotives that rail freight actually ordered specifically for themselves were the Class 58s, the so-called bones. Rail freight was a nationwide business, and it's, as the name suggests, its main job was to move commodities. It initially had a livery of a sort of brownish grey with a large BR logo slightly more towards the middle of the locomotive than large logo blue, and there were black numbers which were carried just on here, as you can possibly see there on 47599. In late 1987, rail freight decided upon a rebranding exercise, and this was carried out in conjunction with a design company, Roundel Design Group. And initially the very few details were known, but it was all unveiled at a public launch at the Ripple Lane depot in East London in late 1987. And it was what was known by some as a triple grey. Black doors, and we've got the grey and grey here and a grey roof. And each locomotive would have a subsector logo on it. And let's have that one there. There were 6 subsector logos, but there was only usually just the 5 that you would have seen. The first one, which was the very rare one, was General Rail Freight, and it was a red block there, and it was red and yellow rectangles. The only locomotives I've known that was ever actually applied to was 40149 Defiance and 86627, the Industrial Society. I'm not aware of it having been applied to any other locos with the exception of 37403, but that was for a photo shoot for the 1990 Rail Freight calendar. There were 5 subsectors, and although each subsector just had one name, they often did more than just their main name. This one that you see here was called Rail Freight Metals, but it really was Rail Freight Metals and Automotive, as it also went on and did carrying of cars from car factories such as Longbridge in Birmingham, Cowley in Oxfordshire. Rail Freight Petroleum was in similar style of blue, but it was more wavy lines. But as well as carrying petroleum and oils, it done chemicals traffic. Rail Freight Coal was black diamonds on the yellow background, but as well as carrying coal, it also carried nuclear flask traffic. Rail Freight Construction was blue and yellow squares, as building blocks. And as well as carrying building blocks and cement, and it also did sand. Anything else was usually left over for rail freight distribution. Now, this includes Freightliner trains, China clay traffic, Perrier water, and the Speedlink network of services which were later abandoned. Rail freight distribution was actually 2 big diamonds in red on a yellow background. Each depot that rail freight operated was allocated usually to a specific subsector, although if there was more than one subsector used it, the general rail freight symbol that I mentioned to you would actually be used on signage at the depot but not on the locomotives. The other non-passenger carrying sector of British Rail was another distinct business, Parcels. It was actually the last one to get a corporate identity, and it came up with this livery in 1990. Now, as the name suggests, Parcels did all the Red Star parcels work with various trains that you may have, including what you may have seen in the February 2019 update. Parcels sector for a long time used a main line style livery, and that was an unbranded Intercity livery. But this livery was unveiled in 1990 to match in some ways the Royal Mail vans that it towed, and the plan was that the rolling stock that Parcels would have, like say the NEX vans and NKVs and the GVs and GUVs, would be painted red and have 2 yellow lines going along the bottom of the vans with a small BR arrow at one or either end. However, in 1992, the sector rebranded itself as Rail Express Systems, and RES, as it was actually then known as, was took a similar livery, but the grey band only went as far as about here and then came down, and there was 4 blue flashes, 2 big ones there and 2 smaller ones there, designed to represent wings of a bird or an eagle, and some locos did carry Rail Express Systems branding on there. And all the vans, any NKV vans that RES owned, also carried that livery. The only exceptions to this were Royal Mail vans, which still were painted in Royal Mail corporate colours, although they did also receive RES branding. Incidentally, also later on in late 1992 or early 1993, Rail Express Systems took over the charter train operations from Intercity, leaving that sector free to concentrate on passenger traffic. Few could deny that the one business sector which had the most impact in terms of its livery was the London and South East sector. This was one of the 3 passenger carrying sectors created by British Rail in 1982. The London and South East sector took over all the southern region internal operations and local operations, but not the long distance operations which went outside the LSE area to, say, Manchester, Edinburgh, Newcastle, Birmingham, from the south east. But the LSE took over quite a large amount of track and operating territory, and LSE services were scheduled to go as far west as Exeter, as far north as Ipswich, although as already discussed, the LSE territory only really extended to Manningtree. It even took over the operation of the Drain, the Waterloo and City line, which now belongs to London Underground. In 1986, Chris Green was appointed as new sector director for the LSE, and having been seen as a miracle worker, what he'd done with the provincial operations in Scotland, rebranding them as ScotRail, he was charged with the job of trying to do that on the London and South East sector. They had initially launched a livery called the Jaffa Cake, which was two-tone grey with an orange band in between, like a Jaffa Cake biscuit. But it was only sporadically applied to some Class 309 electric multiple units, some Class 411 forceps, and a couple of motor luggage vans. He launched a new campaign called Operation Pride, and in doing so, a new livery was proposed. And the first time this livery was seen on a locomotive was the day before Network South East launched. Now, the launch day for Network South East was the 10th of June 1986 at Waterloo Station. And the day before that, 47573, the London Standard, was named that, but in a ceremony at Liverpool Street in this livery, but only with the BR logo, not with the Network South East branding. That was applied the next day. So the following day, 50017 and an electric multiple unit both rolled in simultaneously to Waterloo, and with their stock for the launch of Network South East. Those who invited guests who came to see the launch were amazed to learn, or amazed to see, that the station had been thoroughly cleaned up, new terrazzo tiles put on the floor, retail space tidied up, and the station had a welcoming light air. And this livery was part of that. Some people loved it, some people hated it, they thought it was too garish. Everybody noticed. Stations that Network South East ran even got the famous red lamp posts, which can still be seen in the network today. I mentioned to you, by the way, that 47573 was the first locomotive to be seen in the livery before launch. Or was it? There's a website that belongs to the Network South East Railway Society, www.nsers.org, and there's I think it's the archives section or photos section. If you go into that and click on locomotives, and in early June 1986, a group of friends were travelling up from Plymouth to London on the Night Riviera Sleeper, and it still ran on a Saturday night back in 1986. And at Plymouth, an extra loco was attached, 50017, in a very odd, striking, unbranded livery. This livery I present to you. The original livery had these actually going, these bands being swept up at either end, and the blue was a slightly lighter blue. This is actually Network South East Revised, which was launched in 1989. Network South East does live on, as I say, with the Network South East Railway Society, nsers.org. They're also on Facebook, and Mark Battle has a website, the Network South East Years. The link to that is on the Network South East Railway Society website. Give them a look. And I will say this about the NSERS Honorary Chairman, Chris Green. He was the best chairman British Rail never had. If Network South East had all the big huge commuter traffic, Intercity had the glitz and glamour. The Intercity business sector, like the other four, was created in 1982, but the Intercity brand name actually went back a lot further to 1966. Intercity's remit was to cover long distance high speed passenger services from London terminals, the main London terminals, but also to cover other cross-country trains as well, using especially Birmingham New Street as a hub. Intercity adopted an early livery that was first seen on the advanced passenger train, and which was then applied in 1984 first of all to two full HST sets, and was known as the executive livery. The livery on Class 47s was very similar, but there would be yellow down the cab at this end and this end, and it had the BR symbol and in railway alphabet font Intercity. On high speed trains it was Intercity 125. Intercity inherited a large amount of Class 47s, Class 50s, electric locomotives and the high speed trains. The electric locomotives on the West Coast Main Line were actually painted in a modified version of executive livery, just carrying the BR logo and no other branding. And in fact, these were actually painted in this livery regardless of the owning sector, so even Parcels and freight locos would have carried that livery. Intercity also inherited some Class 73 electro diesels for use on the Gatwick Express, and settled down to a fleet of 12 locomotives on a push-pull basis in 1984. The Gatwick Express is an often forgotten part of Intercity, by the way, and it came under the control of the Anglian division of Intercity. I say a very much forgotten part of Intercity being the Gatwick Express, but it was run by them. In 1987, for the 21st anniversary of Intercity, the livery was modified and done away with the BR symbol altogether, first business sector to do this. And instead it had a swallow motif, as you see there, and the word Intercity in italics. On high speed trains, the white banding went all the way along the length of the side of the HST, with yellow only on the front, as you can see on 47834 Firefly. In addition to this, 47832 Tamar had a modified version of this carried by others, which was an unbranded Intercity livery with much smaller numbers down there. It didn't have Intercity branding on it. Other locos such as 47831 Bolton Wanderer were also painted like that, but later gained Intercity branding. Intercity inherited a vast amount of rolling stock, and it had the glitz and glamour, and Intercity trains would operate as far as Inverness and even Fort William with the overnight sleeper. Mention must also be made that Intercity was responsible for charter train traffic until 1993, when this was transferred to Rail Express systems. This left Intercity free to concentrate on providing passenger services. The Intercity livery may well now be a thing of the past, but the glitz and glamour and the use of the word Intercity for long distance travel is still actually used by members of the travelling public to this day. Our final business sector to look at was Provincial, originally termed Other Provincial Services. This was basically the bits of the railway network left over that were not operated by either Intercity or Network South East. One curious thing to point out, however, is that originally, although Provincial operated some of these services with loco hauled stock, they carried the Intercity branding. The first break away from that livery came in 1984, when 47701, 47711 were both painted into a ScotRail livery, which was similar to this, but the blue band was a bit higher up to match the profile of the Mark IIIs, and this area was black and had the ScotRail legend with a BR symbol on this end here. In 1986, Provincial adopted this style of livery on its loco hauled stock, but it had earlier adopted a reverse style for the first of the Sprinter trains to arrive in 1985, the Class 150s. The prototypes were painted in this style of livery, but on the production ones they were painted with the light blue here and the dark blue there. The Pacers had been introduced earlier, and they carried a different style of Provincial Services livery using this same idea, but the proportions were all different. The first time that this livery was seen on rolling stock was for carriages used on the Liverpool to Newcastle and Hull to Liverpool, Hull to Manchester services, the so-called Transpennine services, and indeed the coaching stock had on the bottom end Transpennine. These were initially the only coaches painted in the Provincial Services livery. Provincial's network was vast, and it operated as 5 different divisions. Scotland had always been seen as a distinct one, and that was one of the 5 divisions. There was North West, North East, the Midlands and the South West, obviously South East being covered by a different business sector. Provincial started a very keen modernisation programme that eventually led to the elimination of the vast majority of loco hauled operations on the Provincial network. And there was some local management decisions about certain things. There was an early attempt in 1989 to rebrand Provincial Services in the North West called Network North West. Again, something that's largely forgotten about. There was to be a distinctive new livery, which in the end didn't really happen. It was applied to one unit, as far as I'm aware, 150201. Network Northwest branding was applied to some Pacer units, but in reality it was a very abortive attempt. What Provincial did manage to do was reduce its losses through the elimination of loco hauled stock and elimination of old stock, and also by using multiple units, namely the Class 156 and certain diagrams, was able to provide brand new links that had never been previously done. Provincial did surrender some services to Network South East, and this actually came about in a strange sort of way. When Network South East was looking to get some new rolling stock for the Waterloo to Exeter service, a downturn in traffic at Provincial had actually seen it have more Class 158 vehicles than it needed, and a lot of these vehicles were actually going to be 3-car units. So a clever deal was hatched. Network South East agreed to buy these units instead, on the condition that it took over Provincial's share of the Worcester to London service. Provincial shared that with Intercity. And what then happened was Provincial were able to sell these vehicles to Network South East. They, rather than having to order an extra large amount of Class 165s, only needed to order another 6 units. That meant that modernisation of the Worcester to London service was achieved quicker, and Network South East was able to get its units quicker for the replacement programme on the Waterloo to Exeter service. I should actually point out as well that Provincial's headquarters was actually in Birmingham, and in 1991 it rebranded itself as Regional Railways, and the livery was actually further modified with the blue banding going along to the end, and it was thin blue stripes at each end, and it had Regional Railways with a small BR symbol there. There used to be a society called Regional Railway Society online, but it's sadly not there anymore, and I think that's quite sad. I'd like to see somebody reintroduce it, because it was, in my opinion, the forgotten sector of British Rail. Regional Railways stock, if you're actually wanting to know what the branding actually looked like, that's on that coach just there, and you can just see that there. The locomotive that you see there was only Class 47 ever to carry the Regional Railways livery, but it actually remained unbranded like that until it was repainted in 1992 into Parcels sector livery. So that's the 5 business sectors of British Rail for you. The other sector that I haven't mentioned is the departmental sector, but that wasn't a business sector as such, so it doesn't come into this remit. So that's the sectors now fully explained to you, and I know that for those of you who are rail enthusiasts and have been following the industry for years will know all about this, so I do apologise for repeating myself, but the main purpose of this video was to provide information to those who are new to the railway hobby and or the railway modelling hobby, and I sincerely hope that I've done that. The next video that you'll see, video number 26, will actually be the March 2019 update, and I'll be going through some of the things that I've been doing and buying for the layout, and 1 or 2 things you've actually already seen. So I'd like to thank you for watching this video, but if you are interested in some sectorisation and layouts, then please check out Kirkton Road Junction, which is under construction, as is Strathpeffer Junction. He's also under construction at the moment. Everard Junction is actually rebuilding his layout, and he's actually gone on quite well at the moment, and at the time of filming of this he's doing a video about weathering rolling stock. So check that out. Also check out my favourite one, Dean Park Station, David Watson. He's now in video 201. His is set not only in the same era, but it's also set in the same region as well. So please go and check those sectorisation layouts. There are other non-sectorisation layouts. Some are set in the privatisation era, such as Dudley Central and New Junction. So please check them out as well. And do also check out anything else that is actually on there. Chadwick TMD, Charlie, who runs that layout, his is set in the 1970s regional era. So I hope this video has been useful for those of you new to the hobby, and if I've got anything wrong on the video, or if there's any extra information you can give me, please put it in the comments box, at the bottom, and I'll appreciate your help. So thank you very much indeed for watching this video, and goodbye for now.